to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host for this lovely evening, 7 past the hour, as we roll into episode number 335. Joined by 4 great guys tonight. First and foremost, Telenasty is with us.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Punch is here.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Cereal Box is here.
English is hard.
I don't have anything.
Cereal Box is here.
No, I'm gonna go back and take a look because I said this last episode. I'm gonna take a look at how you've been ranking us over the last few episodes and see where we really stand in your mind.
Graph it.
I really don't understand why you keep pinging me about what we're talking about tonight. You've done this all day, and I've ignored you all day.
Yeah. And so you know what I know? You know how much I know what we're doing tonight? The same amount as when I first asked you.
And it's going to stay that way because I didn't know what we were talking about up until we got here. Oh, by the way, Chira's here too.
Yeah, we overcame Skype. We did it. We got through all of the problems that we had.
And that was the one thing we were planning on doing was making sure we could start an episode, but after that point, it's just kind of a wash.
Yep.
If this episode is 30 minutes of just random
guys,
bullshit.
we're floundering. We're floundering already.
Oh, God.
I just kept on getting calls from Untitled Conversation and automatically being added and picked up to it, and it said 0 participants. It reminded me of a terrible horror movie that I saw a preview of called Unfriended, where just someone was in the call.
Why don't you give us the entire plot synopsis? I'm sure that will make a riveting show.
I thought you were going to compare it to like answering the phone and nobody's there.
It's just some heavy breathing, but yeah, it was weird.
There's a good segue here about answering the phone and the Gatherer's Granola giveaway, but I
don't
couldn't think of it quickly enough. So, if you guys remember last week, we had a Gatherer's Granola giveaway where we said go and pick all the winners for the NALCS for this week of February, well, I think it's technically last week now, February 14th. And I did say that I think there's going to be a bunch of ties, right? Because
Go. You know what? Just go.
Well, I was like, okay, there's got to be, these games look pretty cut and dry about the winner and everything. Like, it's going to be, we're probably going to have ties. Well, out of 115 people that entered, only one person got everything correct last week. And I don't know if that's like sheer luck or this guy has insider information or what he's doing, but my God, he won. One guy got it right. I really do think it's because of the Fox. It was the Fox Energy game that threw a bunch of people. We had like 10 or 12 people or something guess Fox correctly won. And then, so I like sorted it all by, anyway, his name is Kevin. That is his name. He doesn't have a last name. It just says Kevin. So congratulations, Kevin. You know who you are. Good job, Kevin, a bunch of other letters at gmail.com. You know who you are. Congratulations, you won. You will get an email from us this week, and you'll get an email from Gatherers to get your address so they can ship you a box of Gatherer's Gourmet Granola. And then I want you, once you get it, to write in and tell us how awesome the stuff is.
How much you love it.
Bitch.
And you'll get $20 in RP from Gatherers. So they'll send that off to him.
Is it Kevin like the former like pro player?
Yeah, I was
from
about to
EU?
say maybe he had insider information.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
He'd have a former EU player has insider information on NALCS. That sounds fucking amazing.
Well,
anyway.
Wasn't he playing with Froggen? He was playing with Froggen, and Froggen's the one who made it so Kevin won because Echo Fox won their games. So this sounds like collusion. You might not want to send this off.
So wait, collusion is somebody winning for their team?
Yeah.
Like, that's the best collusion I've ever heard of.
If this was some collusion, he would be sandbagging it so he loses so the guy gets his bet correct.
What? No. What?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, he colludes
No, his
with
former
Froggen
teammate.
to make him, I know, he colludes with Froggen to make him lose the game.
You would lose.
You would lose.
But Froggen won.
Yeah,
correct.
that's why it doesn't make
collusion.
It's still collusion. It just isn't the like Pete Rose
betting.
Yeah, well,
it's positive collusion.
Yeah, the winning is more like Pete Rose. Yeah, because Pete Rose never bet against his team. For all of you out there,
Or so he says.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, what we are going to talk about tonight is we're going to finish up a little bit of patch 6.3 because we have some dragon discussion to talk about. I do want to start talking about junglers again, not because I'm playing them, but because that's like the topic of the hour with everybody. There's like the
Topic
junglers
of the patch.
yeah, the junglers are like what is everybody's flavor of the month right now. And there's some really good junglers out there we need to talk about. I know Chira has a couple that he feel like are flying under the radar that
Surrounded by jungle mains.
that he can play. I also want to end the episode talking about Sated Devour, because it was brought to my attention that we potentially give Sated Devour a very bad rap, and I don't think we do, but I can understand why you would think that we say those things, or why you think it's bad, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show, or near the end. So let's talk about the patch 6.3 stuff that we didn't chat about, or the things that we've seen that are overpowered since then, and all that good stuff. We'll just start with Dragon first and foremost, because we didn't really talk about what happened with Dragon. For those of you out of the loop, Dragon's second and fourth buff have been changed. The second buff used to be 15% damage to turrets and buildings. Now it is basic attacks burn turrets for 10 to 180 over 2 seconds. Now, do we know, does that stack up to 5 times if all people are hitting it, or does it just refresh with each attack?
I believe it's individual. It's based on it would refresh for the individual, but it should burn each person hitting it. Could you get up to 5 stacks of it, I guess. But it's also based on their own level, so it doesn't change that way.
Right.
Like it's not. You could have different levels of different people hitting for different damage.
And then the fourth stack is Dragon's Dominance. It used to be 15% damage to minions and monsters. It is now you take 20% less damage from turrets,
which is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, making Dragon a little bit better to take now, or like less than where that you say, oh, they don't have 5, we have to stop them. Now you might want to stop them when they get 2 and 4.
Well, the fourth stack is still really situational, but it does have, a situation. Something that you look at, like, hey, if we take this, now this opens us up to diving into the base and breaking a siege. Breaking into the base. Whereas before it's like, woo, minion damage, who cares, right? I mean, that helps a little bit, but
damage.
Now you got actually something you can play around, which is fun.
They want to break stalls. This will help break any type of siege stalls. If you don't have a really, really good team for wave clear or whatnot, you could go ahead and dive it, and that'll help a lot.
Well, I mean, and it definitely helps out when a team is stalling. If the team that is trying to aggressively push but doesn't have the ability to actually take the turret can manage to control the map enough to get that many dragons, it's like, okay, you've worked this hard enough. You don't have necessarily the comp to get them off the turret, or they have Soraka and they're just sitting there and healing through your poke. So have fun.
And they have an Anivia. They're just clearing the waves, and
it gives you a little bit of
a good breaker.
We've still been doing good, but we just don't have the comp to take that turret. Now we can actually get in there and at least fight you, because we're not taking as much damage for it.
The second buff, I know I mentioned last week, was the support possibilities. The supports being able to do a significant amount of damage to turrets. I think the other thing I just thought of was when you're in a situation where we're talking about that wave clear, you're barely getting a couple hits off every once in a while on the turret. That's gonna, that second dragon buff might help you a bunch on those sieges, because you get 1 or 2, 2 people get an auto attack off, like the AD carry and a ranged support, and that burns that's a significant amount of damage, like probably more than the 15% would be when you're getting to a point where you're sieging like 5 people on a turret. So I think that's gonna help. That's gonna help push those down when it's not so like. Yeah, that it's always frustrating when you can only get one auto attack off
or
per
only
wave.
Have one person attacking the turret, because how many times are you playing someone like Elise or in your
and
uniform?
And you don't do much.
And you don't really want to attack the turret because it's a waste of your time to stand there and throw out an auto attack and whatnot. Now throwing that auto attack out helps push it down that much faster, and so there is incentive.
Even if you're building full tank,
right. Yeah, I like the fact that there is a way to burn through turrets, a little bit more quickly, or to cause scenarios where you're forced to engage on them because they're slowly pinging the turret down. But this also makes poke comps a little bit more, or a lot stronger, really. Because you can poke them down, poke at the turret, and slowly you're not only whittling the people down to get to the turret, you're whittling the turret down itself as well.
Which is scary, because siege comps are already strong. And now this just makes those wave clear comps to counter that a little bit weaker.
It does take a little bit away from the ease in which a team that's up that much, I had 4th stack, could just back away and take Baron super quick. Because 15% extra damage to Baron is pretty significant when you're just wailing on a raid boss. Now that's gone a little bit. Maybe that is a little bit of what they're trying to do as well, besides just help tower dives, but also help maybe take away from, I guess, bring a bit more comeback potential, maybe to a team that says, okay, we got to retreat, but they're just gonna waste Baron down super quick.
It's true.
It's still really hard to say with dragons because, I mean, dragons are giving you it's always been this way since they've changed it. Dragons are giving you a passive buff to passively help you do something. I mean, I guess it can technically actively help you take down a turret, but you don't see the reward.
They're kind of hidden stats,
yeah. Yeah, so you don't see. So no one's been taking them. Like, generally speaking, you're only taking dragon if you have a devourer jungle on your team, or if it's the opportunity presents you where you're not going to get traded on, or you're going to lose anything for it. You pretty much ignore it because you don't get that global gold anymore.
Or getting the first dragon is good and the third one, but usually what people say, oh, it's only their second dragon, let it have it. But now it's going to be a little bit more punishing. I guess they're trying to make those other
the second
dragons.
Dragon, why are all my turrets burning to the ground?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that would be something I would always say during games. I'd be like, they're going for second dragon, screw it, let's take 2 turrets instead. Right. I mean, second dragon isn't worth jack shit. Like,
or they're doing second dragon, let's do Rift's Herald, like let's put some pressure somewhere else on the map.
And 4th dragon was only important because it made them one step closer to 5. Now it actually does something that's noticeable. I mean, I thought the 15% damage to monsters and minions was okay, but it's good in a different way. Like I said,
you can see it. You can see it more. Like, like if you're just pushing down a wave, you're like, oh, I'm killing those minions just that much fast. No one gives a shit at that point. Right. Like, by the time you're at 4th dragon, you should be burning through waves.
We had 4th dragon last night. I was playing Skarner in a game, and I built pretty tanky, but I had 2 damage items on him, and just with that buff and both enemy inhibitor turrets on me at the same time, they couldn't get through my shield before the cooldown was up. It was amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a little fed though.
I was very fed,
and not on even ground.
I mean, I put some work in. Let's just say that.
It's also difficult to try to have a lot of context so far. Well, it's difficult to say, all right, guys, let's we need to test out 4th dragon. Let's go to a game and do that.
How many games get to that point anyway? That one team just far and above does get that 4th dragon, because games still, if people are that ahead, they can usually close it out before then, and if you're going back and forth taking dragons, you're not always seeing that anyway. So I
can't imagine these changes have a large impact on solo queue specifically. These are more competitive changes, because solo queue, bring it back to Tally's point where you say, oh, they're taking second dragon, let's ignore it. Solo queue, you don't have the coordination to go in and contest that dragon properly, people warding the correct way or engaging at the correct time, etc. So it's probably more advantageous for your team to take a tower or take Rift Herald than it is to try to run across the map and stop them from taking that dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I see this as even more of as a reward for the team that's getting all those dragons, but just can't break the ice, can't break that siege and whatnot.
I like it. I like number 2 more than I like number 4. I think number 4 is great icing on the cake, but number 2 also, it can help break stalemates in games, one way or the other. Even if you're behind, it can help break a stalemate, because there are times where you might win that one-off team fight and you're able to push, but you can't push down that tower because you can't get to it. Now you might be able to get that tower down a little more quickly, or however it may be. There's always those weird scenarios in League that it's hard to account for, but you have to keep in mind what you have when you get into that scenario.
Well, and you can look at it too now that if you're able to get that buff and you wipe the enemy team at dragon right when you get that buff, you might be able to just roll down and take 2 turrets for it and get out. And that's crazy. That's actual snowball potential off of that dragon buff.
I was just thinking that the 4th buff, when you're talking, by the time you get 4th buff, you're probably talking inhib turrets at least.
Yeah.
Thinking about the damage being consistent and continuous instead of just shots after shots, maybe that 20% is even more effective against something that's continuous damage the whole time.
Yeah, and it's supposed to shred your armor and do more damage the longer you're under it too. So
yeah, all of them still do more. They still do all damage over time. But yeah, that one
shreds, right?
Yeah, I believe that one shreds.
This This reminds me of when they switched the second, fourth dragon buff, back when dragon was first introduced as having passive effects and not just global gold. Because the 15% damage to minions and monsters used to be at the second buff, and then that was overpowered because people would get the second dragon to just clear faster than you, clear jungle faster than you,
Baron.
push waves faster than you, do Baron faster than you, and snowball the game out of control. So they put that back to the fourth, and then the second and fourth were, after they did that switch, widely regarded as not that useful as 1, 3, and 5.
Just because the times of game that you were getting.
Yeah, by the time you get that at the fourth, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I think this is an interesting way to go about balancing it and rebalancing it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them this long to do it, but I guess they may have had other things on their plate before they wanted to get to the dragon or see how it's being taken. I'm going to keep an eye on it. They're going to start playing on patch 6.3 this week, right? Mm-hmm. So it's
going to be really interesting to see how really high level people abuse and utilize the changes.
Well, it's dangerous for them to buff these, particularly these second and fourth buff, considering what they said in the context above, which is they don't want every stack to be powerful and necessary to take dragon, because then if it's that powerful,
it becomes the be all.
Dragon's going to be an automatic snowball.
Yeah,
that's going to be the sole win condition for every game, which obviously would be bad. Just make for stale games. So they can buff it. They can make these buffs interesting, and so you might actually think about taking the dragon, like fourth dragon. Like we can't break the base. What are we gonna do? Oh, we can take fourth dragon, and maybe we have an opportunity to get in there now. But they don't want to make it so powerful that you have to take dragon every game.
You have to contextualize each dragon, and maybe based on your team comp, if you want to get for the fourth dragon or get the Rift Scuttler or Rift Herald instead or something.
Just to clarify, because I just looked this up, the base turrets the inhibitor turrets don't shred armor, but they go up to 125% extra damage as opposed to 50% extra damage that the inners and outers can do.
Things we should know, boys. Things we should know. I didn't know it either.
It shreds my heart apart.
Ouch. You shred my heart by even talking. Oh, I'm having flashbacks, man. I'm having terrible flashbacks of spending a weekend with the Claude. You try have dinner with that guy.
Oh, never mind. That's 125% damage on the other ones too. It's just different how it works. Whatever.
I was just waiting for him to come back here with something else.
He wants to.
This is called trying to segue the conversation and not doing it well. Yeah, both of you. You're just derailing the conversation. He's like, I'm out. Peace.
Sorry, guys.
All right, let's talk about jugglers, because we talked about dragons, and now we can talk about jugglers taking dragons. There's my segue I've been looking for.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So professional.
So right
I just wanted you to be perfect.
I am always perfect, buddy. Can't you tell? Just look at me. Bask in my glory of this. I wish I could show you all my lights. Anyway, okay, we're wet. Just this episode, the shit show version 2.
We're trying.
We're floundering. That's what we're doing. All right, let's talk about junglers. Because right now, as you know, there's a lot of junglers that are super powerful, and there's some that just been buffed, like Zen. Udyr happens to be super powerful in this patch. Xin Zhao.
Stupid powerful in this patch.
Fucking love Zen.
Yeah.
Or like banned now, am I right?
I'm glad Zin's back, because his style of jungling is so easy to read. I love playing against Zen.
Very one-dimensional.
It's stupid one-dimensional. And he's going to punish you if you're out of line at any point. But if you know what Xin Zhao's like to do, you wait. And you bide your time and you murder them. And it's wonderful.
Why? Because you know they're going to go from one camp to the next, then maybe gank, and then go back and farm some more, and then they'll probably counter gank down at bottom lane or attempt to gank bottom lane and then go back. Yeah.
Well, what I said is one-dimensional. I just meant is his style of fighting.
Once
he's
in,
that's it. It's like Vi. He can go in, but he doesn't have a way to get out. Like a lot of the really strong junglers have a way to get in and out of a fight, like Elise and Nidalee and Lee Sin and all these tier 1 junglers. They all have a way to get in and out of a fight. But Zin's very one-dimensional. He presses E to go in, and that's about it besides Flash. And he's kind of got the same problem as Vi, where he's very one-dimensional and predictable in that manner. But I mean, right now his stats are such that he's really strong, and he can farm real well early. He could gank real well early, and he could scale real well with Sadid or Warrior. I've seen both.
That's what I was going to ask, is what is he building now, primarily?
I've usually gone sated. Maybe
I've seen a
one
lot of
offensive
sated.
item, and then straight tank after that, or just sated into tank. I've seen a couple of people. If you don't get a lot early, and you want to just focus on ganking, you just go warrior
Sated
too.
into Ginsu's.
Sated into Ginsus is ridiculous.
It's really it's
Ginsu's
awesome
ridiculous
if
as
they
game
don't
mode.
have something to lock you down, but if you're able to lock Zen down, he's probably going to be dead as long as you can layer CC appropriately, and that's a huge portion.
So
Yeah.
are people doing Bond to Stone Zen then, and then into Sated? Not Bond to Stone, sorry, Strength of Ages. I always get those mixed up.
Yes. For jungle, yeah, I've been running them top lane in jungle, but yeah, for jungle, I've been in Strength of Ages, and was it 0, 9, 21 Strength of Ages sated into.
You're seeing
What is this, season 5?
You're either seeing Strength of Ages or you're seeing.
You see Strength of Ages on every jungler now.
Yeah, you're
because
seeing a
you get
lot.
stacked so easily. It's on every jungler. People are running it on Elise. Anyone that used to run the even Graves jungle now, everyone's just running it because it's so stat efficient for junglers.
And it's especially true because a lot of junglers are going a double aggressive, like offensive buy early. Like you're seeing it on Udyr, you're seeing it on Xin Zhao, you're seeing it on everybody. And when you can get a bunch of free health for just killing things you're already going to be killing, that is awesome.
Yeah, you can get the stacks much quicker in jungle than you can in lane. Because what is it? What, every third wave you can get a stack in lane? You can get it every single camp in jungle. So,
which is
makes
worth
sense.
double. The siege minions are worth double, but still, you can get them way quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, you're killing double the amount of jungle camps in that time.
And I mean, you can get it from Scuttler too. Like Scuttler gives you the buff, so that's free health without taking the damage.
And
too.
if you're going sated, you're stacking those camps anyway. You're just power farming those camps anyway. So,
Well, what about the Chira? You mentioned some junglers that you thought were powerful right now that I guess are flying under the radar that are not are not necessarily tier 1, but more like what tier?
I think
1.5.
it's like yeah, it's right below. Like I mean, you're running into the Xin Zhaos, the Udyrs, the Elises right now are like super high pick. I am really digging Gragas's comeback. I think he's like right there on the cusp, wanting to roll back in. I have had a bunch of luck recently on Skarner, just because with a lot of people wanting to play aggressive people that just jump in, a la Xin Zhao, a la you're looking at people like Zed who are going to ult on somebody. It's really helpful if you can just grab somebody that's getting in and keep them there without doing their damage. Like, this is one of the reasons I brought up being able to layer CC on Xin. If Xin goes in and you just drag him to a portion where he can't knock your team away with his ult as soon as he gets in, and he doesn't have, like, Soraka healing the shit out of him to keep him up, you can pretty much kill him very quickly, just because he's not building that many tanky stats early. Again, you're seeing a lot of selfish double offensive item buys out of a lot of people. So I've been really liking Skarner. I've had a lot of success on Nocturne, and as much as I hate like waiting on a jungler to hit 6, with people in solo queue not respecting your ability to 3-shot carries whenever you want to, if you have ult up, as soon as the support goes to ward, if you can just go in and kill them before they can do anything, you either kill them or you burn their flash, and that helps your team out either way. So
something we should probably consider for Wednesday's episode is talking about the power farm method that I talked about in chat today, and actually getting the route down. There's a way to power farm to 6 as a jungler faster than bottom lane gets to 6.
yeah,
for example.
it was on the front page of Reddit last week. You'd clear all but your buffs, and then you go back and do another full clear with your buffs. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
You're just not I think he hits 6 at 6 minutes about, and then you're usually hitting 6 before your bot lane and maybe your solo lanes. But
I think the big problem I have is I always be like 4.5 by the time top is 6 if you do like a normal clear.
it's not that much faster, and then you risk getting your buff stolen. But it's not that much faster than just power clearing as that said jungler anyway.
you have to have your team on the same page to like help ward and be aware if you're going to get invaded when that happens, because that it's a lot to bank on to just say, hey, I'm going to start at this part of the jungle, clear all the little camps, and hope that my buffs are up when I want to do it all again.
And even if you get your clear in the right time, you have to hope that none of your lanes are losing by the time you hit 6, because they've ganked 2 or 3 times and you've just been power farming your jungle. I mean, it's a little bit faster way, but yeah.
If you're able to get a successful gank off and just help shove a creep wave to a turret because your laner wants to back, you can kind of stay on par with XP anyway. So it depends on how the game goes a bit as well. I mean, there's always going to be those little things, like if you can get 2 kills off, you're going to be 6 at that time anyway, so that's great too. But is that as likely as... I would almost say that's as likely as both of your buffs being up, trying to clear them on the second attempt. But then again, you see less counter jungling at certain ratings, so who knows? You might be able to get away with it.
And if you're up against a jungler that isn't likely to invade or counter jungle, and you have lanes that shouldn't lose 1v1s, and you're a jungler who does not have great ganks into level 6, I could see it being viable in certain situations. I'm not ruling it out. I'm just saying it isn't personally my style. I like to gank early and get lanes ahead early. But it's certainly something if you were on Namumu,
I would say Shyvana.
Shyvana, any jungler needs like a level 6 to really do ganks. I mean, Shyvana wants to kind of do that to power farm stated too.
Well, and she gets a big amount of like free defensive stats for hitting 6 as well, so it helps her out anyway. She's another one of those early
and she wants the power farm
offensive buys. Yeah, for her sated.
What were you saying about Shyvana earlier today, Chira? That she's actually more of a late game jungler, or she can be. It's like, are you seeing her being played in that manner?
I've been playing her, and this is just my experience playing her quite a bit recently. There is a point right around 3rd, 4th item buy where I feel like I can 1v1 almost any champion, regardless of how fed they are, because if you can get sated and Blade of the Rune King or Ginsu's, and then you can get 1 tanky item, you're passive damage between the extra like sated damage from being able to double attack with Q and the shred damage that you're doing from your fire. You shred tanks as easily as you would shred carries. And I've been walking through games where I'm far and above the highest damage out of anybody in the game on champions, just from being able to power farm early and then roll that into to kills later. The issue is that if you do aggressive 2-item offensive buys, you are very, very squishy when mid-game team fights rolls around. So like if the enemy are able to push out turrets and get team fights started earlier, that's not good for you, and that puts your power back until like you can continue to farm to get items. And if you're sitting there doing little dances around objectives, that's not the best way to keep making money. The later Shiv gets into a game, especially after, I want to say like you really start seeing her power right around 3 items, unless she's fighting in a 1v1 against a lot of other people. She can beat them out early just because she didn't do a lot of damage very quickly. But she gets to a point for the most part that it's really hard because she's quick. She shreds anybody she can get in contact with, and because she does a lot of AoE damage in one spot and she gets a bunch of defensive stats just from her ult, like once you start actually building some defensive items and you do have those 2 offensive items, the damage and the tankiness is crazy. It's great. I really like playing her right now, but if you get behind on her, you're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I think that getting contact with is the key point, because good players aren't gonna just sit there and
let you do that.
Because they know that, and she's always been strong late game because she just gets so many free stats and she hyper scales with like attack speed because of her passive and everything like that. But like I said, I mean, you're not going to get any early ganks off unless you take exhaust out of the jungle, and you might get invaded on because you don't have flash. And even if you do, you have to rely on CC if you're laners, so you're just basically power farming or do the same thing you said. You hope your lanes don't get behind in the meantime.
And I mean, if you have somebody like, let's say that you just happen to have a Nautilus top lane who has a lot of knocked like CC to be able to hold somebody in place, yes, you might be able to go in and get a kill and snowball off that too, and that's great. But again, it's solo queue, and there's no banking on other people doing the right thing at the right time. And I don't like putting a timer on to a champion that you're playing for power if you can avoid it. One of the main reasons I've been playing her is just I like that champion. I used to play that champion a lot, but Udyr's been banned so much lately that I just want other quick clear junglers because they're fun to play.
She's in the same vein that she always has been. Like she's always been okay in the jungle, because if she does get if she gets ahead,
it's not
she's
fun
very hard to kill, and
Yeah.
she does. Even when she went full tank, she would just shred carries anyway because of her base damages. But I think the latest changes have helped her a little bit, and then just kind of the rise of kind of the carry jungles we've been seeing. I mean, Yi is being picked in a lot of even my diamond games. Yi, Xin, power farming Udyrs. I've seen
So
a
my
lot
5
of
team is
Shyvana's
justified
Nocturnes.
in banning Yi. Then is what I'm hearing.
I
banning Yi,
I've
boys.
been seeing Yi at all elos now. I don't know where the hell it's coming from, but it's annoying. But
So I got a question for you guys. Obviously, talking about the sated and like the first 2 tanky items makes a lot of sense to me for like the huge power spike. And I'm wondering if the graph I'm looking at for Champion Gigi is she's like 54% win rate across the board until you hit 40 plus minutes, and it plummets to about 47%. Is that because like she ends up getting kited really bad late game? Maybe the 80 carries aren't so vulnerable. Is that what I'm curious? Like why that's a huge drop off.
She can have a rough time with that. And the other thing is too, you have to think if you're spending that much time doing something like that and your team does get behind, that's probably the time that you would be losing anyway, because you might be the only person on your team that's strong because you spent time farming, and everybody else has just been bleeding profusely out of every possible hole that they could be.
Right.
So I kind of wonder if that, because Chira says that she's really strong at, you said 3 items, right? And
like 3, 4, yeah, 3 or 4.
That makes sense for that time frame.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's gotta be. I mean, she's strong. She's strong when she gets sated, and then she has that like not lull, but she has that
she's
period
like
where she's really strong up until again that 40-minute mark. That's why I was wondering when you said 3 or 4 items, because anytime I've seen Shyvana and we can make it to about 40 minutes, that's when I see that graph. Like I've seen it in game happen, because Shyvana is usually picked, and it's solo queue, so team comps aren't picked around Shyvana with like an Orianna or a Malphite or something to aid in the initiation that she does not have. So she's going to be the one diving into the pack, and then she gets Sunlock CC'd and da-da-da, and she's
That's actually, I wouldn't pick her into a game where you, unless you have somebody that's playing a tankier person in the top lane.
a dive buddy.
Yeah. I really like her on teams with Malphite. It's great on teams with Malphite. If you can get through picks and bans without Malphite going to the other team or banned.
I'd like to point out that picking and banning, even with this dynamic queue, I think is much more important now with the pick and ban than it ever has been, because you can, I mean, it's the same setup as it was before previously, but everybody knows what roles they're going to play, so there's no more fighting, so there's less toxicity in champ select, so you're more likely to get the champion that you want to play. But let's say your last pick jungle, this happened to me the other day, we ended up winning the game because I picked Rek'Sai. Like we had 3 or 4 carries on the team, and then that was left to me, and I was like, okay, I can't play Kindred because we don't have any kind of counter engage or whatever it was. I mean, it's like Rise Fizz. How do you engage with that? A Fizz fish and just hope it lands? Like, that doesn't work. Everyone knows it works. So you have to pick something like Rek'Sai. You can't pick Shyvana in that scenario because you need a little bit of added CC to your team, and it works. But then people will complain that Rek'Sai is not a great solo queue jungler, because I've heard it. Rek'Sai's not a great solo queue jungler. She can't use her passive. I'm like, she's fucking amazing for solo queue. Like, I think she's one of those ones that's like not hidden. Everybody knows about her, but more people need to try to play her because I think there's a negative connotation based on her passive and how it's used, because people feel like they use it improperly. And in my opinion, you can use that to set up to help somebody not get ganked. Like I use it to walk over to see if somebody's at a camp and they can't even tell I'm there because I see them walking around and doing the camp or whatever it is.
I've Amumu is an honorable mention in this just because he's so easy to play and his win rate's through the roof right now as well. He's like doing very well.
Or something.
Yeah. It's
really surprising.
He's doing well, which I mean that's cool.
This always seems to happen with Amumu.
I know. He's the
people...
sleeper pick that has always been like honestly even Plat like Amumu works. People are still stupid and do bad things and group up in stupid situations, and one Amumu all changes the game in drastic ways if it's done correctly. Like itemization stuff, be damned. Like some of it's really, really working in his favor. I might. All right, Adam. I played a lot of Amumu when you first started playing with me.
Yeah.
I might have to go back to playing more Amumu again.
Yeah,
he's an asshole champion.
Solo top of Mumu got me to level 28 or so.
I just had someone do that in my last ranked game.
Did they really? Did it work?
Yeah. He got he got like second blood right after I got first blood.
That's great.
I got a 1v1 kill on the enemy jungler, and all of a sudden I see first blood Amumu against top Nautilus. I was like, what the hell?
I was actually kind of excited one game I played where I saw mid Sejuani in a top Malphite, and I had Kindred jungle. I was like, this game's going to go great if this Sejuani doesn't do something stupid.
That's your perfect setup.
And the game did not go great because it's one of those where it was one of those games where like everything was set up to be perfect. I don't know. It was all set up to be perfect, but everybody played it improperly by like funneling into fights or alting
solo
support.
queue.
Yeah, it was you're just like funneling into shit. And I'm like typing. I'm like, stop funneling, and they're like yelling, Kindred, you're terrible. And I'm like, what? I'm not doing anything. You want to scream back, you're the one going in, and you can't.
I don't play her at all, but I really like seeing when people on my team pick Diana when I'm playing top. And I can, if they pick it early, I just immediately pick a tank. I'm like, okay, you go one shot everything that has 2,000 or less health, because the damage she's putting out right now is pretty bonkers too. Runic Echoes is a really good item.
Are we seeing Runic Echoes in Mumu here? Or still
Serial, can't you find that up on Champion TG?
No, I just looked because I saw Mumu on there. It's Cinderhulk still.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
No way, I'm playing.
But I had to check.
I think Cinderhulk is also really good with Strength of the Strength of the Ages.
It's very good with Strength of the Ages.
I mean, they work well together because you get more bonus health from Strength.
Why am I not doing Runic Echoes dead bands of Mumu for the straight damage?
If you wanted to
you walk up and just
scare the hell out of an enemy squishy, if you have Runic Echoes and you max Q second, like a good Amumu, and you land it, which is the, god damn it, I have made this, I hope I made this abundantly clear every fucking time I bring up Amumu. Please, for the love of all that is holy in League of Legends, land your Band-Aid. And
Band-Aid?
your bandage toss of doom. And if you have Runic Echoes and you put points into it, I feel bad for the squishy standing in front of you as they take half of their health from just that ability.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. He used to have a 1.0 AP ratio on it.
It was really, the scaling was really good.
It was so stupid. Now it's toned back.
Can we not have people build Rylai's Runic Echoes of Mumu, please?
Rylai's is fine.
It looks like everyone's building Cinderhulk, Rylai's, Leandry's, Frozen Heart, Banjo.
They're building the slowly bleed
Your
you.
tears slow them.
I know. Yeah. No, I think Rylai's is great out of it. I'm just saying, can we not tell people to buy Rylai's and then cry tears of ice all over their face?
You build Iceborne Gauntlet too, just to slow them down even more. Don't do that.
I did see.
You know how much armor you would have for not having barely any health at all?
Yeah, can we talk about stacking those slows? Please don't buy Rylai's Iceborne Gauntlet. I saw a Malphite do it in the game the other day, and I just facepalmed. I went, what the fuck are you doing?
They'll never escape with my 3 slows.
Yeah, build a Rylai's on Sejuani. That's a great plan.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You have the AoE. Wait. All right, we were talking. Since this is the juggler episode, let's talk about Devour. We've been slightly touching on it, and I want to clear the air that the Trinity Force podcast does not hate Devour.
I hate it.
All right.
Yeah, everyone on all social medias are just bashing us. What do you clear the air?
I personally love Devour.
Well, no, let me first say we had a post today on the subreddit this evening about it, and they said, well, I think Adam specifically hates it, and I think I've received 1 or 2 other emails over the past couple months about our Devour discussion, and it's a topic that sticks in my head because I've definitely heard it before. And he basically says that I think you guys gave it a negative rap, or at least Adam does, and I responded, and that's what I said. I don't hate Devour. I mean, I didn't say it this way, but basically, I don't hate Devour. I just think it can teach very bad habits to inexperienced junglers like myself.
I think we all have those games where we have that person that goes, say, to Devour, and that doesn't get any stacks, doesn't gank, and like gets invaded on and beat up early game. We all have those, and those stick in our mind like hell. And maybe it's just my style that typically isn't my style. I picked up on it because it's freaking strong as hell on Xin Zhao and some of these other junglers now, but I typically go for a team assist style jungler for the most part, and that's how I got to where I am. But when I see someone else go that and they just don't get stacks on it, and then they complain that they're not strong all game, and that's just like, all right, well, this is, you kind of set yourself and your team behind.
It's one of the most frustrating things when you have somebody that has been power farming, but hasn't been doing that great of a job power farming, and it's 30 minutes in and they still don't have sated, and then when it's you, it's just as frustrating. And those games happen and they feel terrible.
Every time I try to get sated, I'm like 23 stacks, and I'm like, I'm almost there, but I can't farm because we're at the point where laning phase is over and my team is taking my jungle and we can't get dragons, and I'm like, well, why did I fuck up? And I fucked up by not setting up ganks properly to get those.
Well, and part of it too, you're not. A lot of people don't prioritize. If you have a character, if you're playing a champion and you have Devour, and there is a point at level 5 where you can solo dragon, or you can do it with your support, and you can ward, and you know if they're coming that way, you can do that and get really, really ahead. You can get like a 17-minute sated Devour and then just run havoc on the enemy team if you're smart about being able to get objectives. And yes, that kind of thing does require some team cooperation, but I would argue right now with dynamic queue, that's the easiest time that you're ever going to have being able to take those objectives that way. Yeah, you're going to be running into other teams that are organized, but like there is quite a bit you can do to deny them vision and gain vision to go and take those sort of things. You got to learn how to prioritize Scuttle Crab a lot. You have to pay a lot of attention to when Scuttle is going to spawn. Like, if you're not doing a good job taking Scuttle, it's gonna take you way, way longer to get your Devourer stacked. It is super important to have River warded, mainly, and it's not just to know when Scuttle's up because you can see it when it comes back up on the map, but it's to know that while you're doing Scuttle, somebody's not going to come up behind you and kill you while you're doing it, or they're not gonna. The enemy team might have it warded as well, and 2 people go to pinch and kill you while you're doing it because they know you have Devourer and they don't want you to get it stacked. Other huge thing, if you are playing a jungler who is still a strong ganker and you're working on getting your Devourer sated, go and gank, because nothing hurts you at all if you get that kill. You get more money and you get Devourer stacks for it.
Yeah. And at least if you're getting Scuttler, you're power farming, but you're still getting the Scuttler every time on both sides, you're still providing team vision. You're still helping your team in that.
You're giving
fashion.
something.
The one quick thing I want to say is that, this goes back to the point where you have that guy that's behind, but still goes ahead and gets the sated. But if you start off the game real bad and your ganks don't go well, you don't have to go sated. You could go ahead and get warrior, and then go tanky. Like, you don't have to. If you're falling behind, you're looking at this game. Your team's 0-5. You're not going to be able to just sit here and farm all game. The other team isn't going to let you. So maybe you consider
18 minutes in and you have 12 stacks on Devour. Sell it.
Well, Valiant asked earlier, when is it too late to buy Devour?
When is it too late
to buy the whole item?
Yeah, Hiram responded with about 15 minutes to buy Devour, not sated.
I'm usually trying to finish Devour like 10 to 12 minutes. And on the later end of 12 minutes, that almost feels like it might be a little too long. And again, it's really dependent on, hey, did you get ganked?
Is that about your second back?
Yeah, just about second back. Certain junglers, I mean, all depends, because like, Udyr could clear all the way through if he wanted to forever, and you never would have to back. And it's like, oh, I have 3k gold, and it's only 12 minutes in the game. What the hell's going on? I have 4 kills, and I should have had Devour earlier so I could start building stacks on this. Oh my god, I've wasted time. But yeah, if it's like 16 minutes in and you don't have it yet, 15 minutes in you don't have it yet, you should probably look to get something else. I mean, unless your team is just doing great, but I don't think that you would ever be in that situation with your team doing that well and you're that behind. Unless you just have never backed to buy it. But
fair point. I don't know. I think on the opposite end of the coin, like, Devour is great because of all those reasons, because you can get so much farther ahead. You can use it advantageously to take objectives,
hybrid
like
damage.
You said.
It's quick damage.
But that's
a lot of the top champions right now, the jungle, are using it. But
that just brings back to my point that we talked about it. I still think it promotes too bad a habit with not lower level or not lower rank players, but lower experienced
junglers.
The reason why
it's anti-team play.
They're buying it without the knowledge of how to make it work best for you. And if you're buying something in this game without knowing the reason to buy it, you're not buying it correctly. You have no idea what you're doing, and you should probably go at least figure out why you might be doing that, or else you're going to end up being that guy at 30 minutes without his Devour stacked.
You're telling me I should know why I'm doing what I'm doing in the game? Is that what you're trying to say, Chira?
Merry Christmas, Adam. My gift came early.
Wow, you mean late? Extremely
Just
late.
go to pro builds and copy pasta.
Yeah, why not? It'll be fine. Champion.gg, just do the build every single time, right? You'll be perfectly cool, even though you have no idea how to play.
Pro builds, I do like to go to pro builds and look at the builds and look at the runes and stuff. And what's funny is you look at runes, and if you go through 6 or 7 different people, the runes always drastically change per person. Yeah. You're like, well, there is no one build. And then you're like, because I'll look at like Udyr. Udyr had like 27% attack speed and some move speed, and I'm like, holy fuck! All right, well, this build is not for me.
That guy's going Devour, yeah.
So you brought up today that you had built an Udyr specific page, which is great. I still have like 5 rune pages.
I know.
I have like 5 rune pages. I haven't changed them. I don't know how you do it. I have a speed build page for old Phoenix Udyr before any of this happened. I should really start using it again. But I have had so much success with my 180 jungle page for so many champions that I just use that. And that's bad on my part.
That's the best for 90% of the cases.
That's the thing, though. And it's not just that it's the best for 90% of the cases. It's that it's good. It's just good generally to run a little bit of cooldown reduction. It's like, it's the average. It's the perfect average to just roll through and do consistently okay. It's not like min-maxing things. Okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to do exactly this. And at least for somebody like my play style, who I play like a different champion every game because I get bored playing the same thing over and over again, it works for me.
Do I need to find a way to gift you some rune pages?
How to do consistently
okay. It's more or less I need to...
If what you aspire to is to be consistently okay, come listen.
Consistently better than...
No, you said consistently okay.
Consistently okay. I'm doing all right.
Did you just switch sides? Are you now part of the Just Okay Gamers?
I mean, they seem like a pretty great group of guys, so...
That should be the new slogan. We teach you how to be consistently okay.
They're just okay. We're consistently.
Yeah, we're consistent.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Can't beat consistency.
I have 20 rune pages, and I wish I could have more. I'm constantly wishing I could add more.
Your mistake here, my friend, is that I have bought like 2 champions ever with RP, and everything else has been bought with IP, and I still don't have every single.
Chira does not put money into this game and somehow consistently plays it. Yeah, I have 20 pages, but I'm kind of like Chira in the regards where I don't not like Chira. I am in the fact that I don't change my pages often, but I only change my pages when I'm like, well, fuck. I went into this game and I meant to have this. Like my support page is like pure armor. It's like 50 armor. I'm like, well, fuck. I need a page with move speed and some cooldown reduction.
I have 10 rune pages. 3 of them are empty, and 3 of them are the same thing as other ones. So Chira, I'm a bad example. Don't listen to anything that I've said. Don't listen to any rant that I've had ever on this show. I am terrible.
You need to make a 27% attack speed Udyr page with the move speed quids.
29. The hell?
No, 27% with some move speed.
I have enough IP to do it right now. Let's just go crazy.
Sounds good.
But my Udyr page is what is it? It's attack speed, move speed, attack speed, marks, move speed, quids,
Adam,
armor, seals, and then I min max the cooldown reduction, or what did I do? Cooldown reduction or magic? Yeah, like 5%, then scaling.
Level 18.
Yeah,
yeah. I've been doing that with a lot of junglers now. I've seen a lot of pros running the 5% level 1 and 5% at level 18. So you use all your blues to get 10% at level 18.
I was trying to think of when you could use time dead runes. Just because I think it'd be funny.
Dude, I have one of those.
And I was thinking, for some reason, Jungle Scion with not with move speed, but with I don't know what kind of page, but he just dies, kills the camp, he reses quickly, does it again. Right. Real OP strat, guys.
You want to know?
Try it out. Champion Select Podcast Scion episode coming up soon.
This went from great information to just
trash.
We're just trolling each
So
other.
quick.
This is great. Now let's keep trolling each other. You want to know what you do with when you have 149,000 IP? You do what I did when Yasuo came out, and instead of doing the math, you just buy the crit damage runes and try them out instead of rolling it through.
Maybe
Excel.
someday these would be good.
And now I have like crit damage runes.
Going back to that all attack speed page though, Adam, you would be the person to run that and then get mad in the middle of the game when you're like, why the fuck am I so squishy?
Yeah, right. I know.
I have a page like that. I think it's the 29% attack speed and then 10% CDR at level 1. It used to be, but now it's the 5 and 5/6. And that would be for my like, Kale jungle or Xin Zhao, like Devour jungle or something like that. I don't run that anymore. But
14% attack speed, 1% crit rune, armor, all move speed quints, and that 15% attack speed is about as much as I'd want to run just off of rune.
Yeah, I don't really run move speed quints on almost anyone anymore.
I haven't for a long time. The only reason I would do it
quint for jungle fiddlesticks.
Okay, I can see that.
Guys, I think we jumped the shark. I think we finished.
Well, I wanted to jump everyone off of using move speed quints because they're pretty trash in most cases.
What? No, move speed quints are
Are you
amazing.
replacing them with attack speed?
How do you think move speed quints are bad?
I mean, they're always good late game, but you're taking.
Is it only because swiftness was so cheap?
Yes, well, you're still running it on everyone.
Oh my god, move speed quints are so good.
I like him on a couple.
What jungler?
I'm gonna get Dom on this show and let him argue with that about it because he and I had the longest conversation about move speed quints, and he finally pushed me over the side. But it was like, I don't know, a year and a half ago the last time we had this conversation.
Dom will make a very convincing argument. Even if he's wrong, he'll make one. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah, well, the argument comes down to, well, that 10%, that 10 move speed could get you to the lane more quickly than, down like that type of thing. You're like, well, you're not wrong, and I don't have a good argument against it, so I guess you might be right.
Yeah.
Well, your runes clear faster, and that gets you to the lane faster too.
And at higher health, whereas the move speed doesn't help you do that.
What are you talking about? Just
Well, if you're kiting better,
if you're running back from base, it helps.
Yeah,
you
when
have
you're
to back more often. Great.
So I'm gonna run
Thanks,
time dead and move speed quits, so I can just get back to the jungle war.
this is a really circular argument that's going to happen.
Why?
And then you might as well get gold earned instead.
He really wants to use the rest of his IP to buy time dead quins.
I think I have them. I'm sure I do. Like I said,
I have one from the gift box that when League of Legends was sold in a box, it came with that one. It
Time
came with,
dead.
It came with the. I shit you not. It came with the time % dead quint, and it came with like Goth Annie.
Which
and
quints is it?
Silver Tail.
I think. Oh, I know which one it was. But do you remember when they made the quints, the like holiday quints for
Oh,
Rune?
the Sugar Rush quints.
Yeah.
I have.
I know they're shittier than the tier 3 ones.
Yes,
right?
they are. They're 2 health less.
Yeah.
2 health less on flat health quints, which I have. I haven't bought the 26 health ones because I'm not going to spend like 4,000 IP to get the last 2. To get
So
4
he
extra.
loses.
First of all, HP quints are shit to begin with, so you shouldn't be running them on anyone. If you want to run HP, you run HP yellows and armor quints.
Hey man, don't rag on me too hard. This was like season 1 when I bought it. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were still using them and arguing for them.
No,
Well, it doesn't matter if he is arguing for them. You should see some of the
fucking.
fucking Rune pages that I looked up there. I looked up, I think, one of my brother's games, and one of the Xin Zhao had the longest list of runes I've ever seen in my entire life, and there was like tier 1 and tier 2 runes in it. He just tossed everything he had in a page and went for it.
Jack of all
Everything
trades.
he owned.
I want a well-rounded stat page, guys.
In case Xin Zhao gets patched and becomes an energy-based champion mid-game, I will be prepared for it.
At level 18, scaling energy runes.
Dude, I sympathize. Leveling a new account, I sympathize.
No, yeah, I think we all must have done that. Unless you grew up playing this game with like someone that was teaching you. I remember doing that shit. Like I had like, oh yeah, I want some attack speed, some armor, and some. Oh well, yeah, MR sounds good on my reds.
Isn't it about the time when they don't need to charge for them anymore? Like I understand why, but it feels like this late, like 6 seasons in, either dropping prices or.
They
I don't know.
would
Did
need
they,
to
did they
come up-
remove tier 1 and 2 yet?
No, they would need. Yeah, they would need to come.
I know. Whatever. They have just so much money. Pone, did you get to go like jump in their money pool?
The castle.
Did you
I got to eat food and drink drinks.
Is it money?
I mean, it was made out of money. The cup was made out of $100 bills, and we just
was it like Was it
Paper
the
mache with dollar
Zombieland
bills.
Zombieland part with where he's just wiping tears with $100 bills?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when we were done, we just tossed them into the shredder because we're like, well, we don't want we don't need these $100 bills anymore. Coasters were RP cards. We just
They had the Scrooge McDuck.
Oh,
the
hey
wood
guys,
sample,
guess what?
gold
We're still having a
coin sample.
fundraiser. We're still having a fundraiser, but Adam shredded fucking money when he was at Riot.
well, we definitely
Yeah,
took
indoctrinize them.
we took the route of Fizz and jumped the shark with this entire conversation, and now we are long gone. Do we have
Where
anything
are we?
else that we
What's going on?
we decided to just have fun for the last 10 minutes of the podcast? Anything else? Anybody have anything to talk about?
Cogmo's OP.
Cogmaw's
By the
OP,
Yeah.
which is something that we should have probably said
they-
last week. The moment that we said they took it off a queue and put it in
We
your
did.
W.
We said it was going to be
did.
good.
I don't remember
Pantheon-
actually saying it was going to be OP.
Pantheon and Darius are making waves in top lane.
Hey, that's coming up Friday, I think. Darius episode.
Fancy.
But Darius
Shut
is
up.
coming back in the top lane.
Yeah. Adam, I have an old challenger friend that just started playing again, and all he plays now is Darius, and it's just a lot of wins.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, where is he? I'm going down Shape
Why is
GG. Oh,
Darius
he's
coming
39th.
back?
He's 39th in win rate right now.
Why is Darius coming back out of the top lane?
He's not. He's
Just
not
wait.
yet.
Just wait.
He's fourth in play rate,
Oh,
39th in win rate.
Prepare yourself.
I was
It's
going to
gonna
say,
happen.
okay, I know I saw some Pantheon. Pantheon's high up there.
Pantheon's ridiculous right now.
Pantheon's my mid go-to to snowball the hell game.
Still?
I've talked about that. Oh,
Mine's
forever.
14.
I mean,
top
it was
Pantheon? Wow.
Gangplank, and then you.
No, they ruined my Gangplank.
I know.
They made him
changed
better
him.
and they ruined him.
Now that he's good, he's not worth
They
playing.
made him
damn
better
it.
for everybody else. They ruined him for you.
Yeah, yeah, right. I can't play APGP anymore. I'm so upset by this. I want to eat oranges and gain tons of life back and shoot
Can you
people
still?
in my spot.
Does it still scale off of AP?
It doesn't have as great of a ratio as it used to.
Well, then it's
And nothing
then
else
just build
goes
more
up
AP.
now.
If you build enough more AP, then it won't
You
matter.
didn't need to build like that AP though. You just got a Spirit Visage and your Lich Bane, and that's all you needed. And you were like back to full. Because I did like a 1.0 scaling or 1.2 scaling. It was really stupid. Anyway, I think that's it.
Good
I think we're just gonna kill it there, short of an hour. But this is what happens when these guys
I'm
don't do their
surprised we made
homework
it
over
this
the
long
weekend.
tonight.
What are you talking about? I talked half of this
serious?
episode.
I love it. I love.
Helen, what are we
Nothing.
covering? Won't tell you, but it's going to be on the test. It's going to be on the test no matter what.
Oh, this sounds like fucking Ochem all over again.
I am the test.
Spell Telenasty. That is the test.
Oh my god.
Tally.
Hey, Pone, I don't know if you're gonna do this, but if you got shirts with like our names on the back for East, he's already getting mad.
Oh my God.
See how pissed he looks right now. But if you just made
I'm
it
gonna get him one that says
Nasty.
"Be Tally Nasty," and it's gonna say it right across the back.
I hope you can see this because I'm doing it as hard as I possibly can. God damn it.
I'm gonna get the T, like the network T for the start of it. It's gonna say Tally Nasty with the T. It's gonna be great. Oh my God.
And then it's gonna have an X out and then correction. I'm just gonna take
That would
a fucking-
actually be really funny, though.
That would be-
It would be great.
oh my
I
God.
love that.
I'm gonna get someone to design that. You are wearing the Tally
hey.
or Tella Nasty.
Hey, Tally, though, the thing is, if that happens, you know what else is gonna happen is Pone's gonna get one with the trash emoji on my back instead.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what's gonna happen instead too.
I did
I
ping
feel
you
so
the other
sorry
day
for
and ask you
making
for that high res image.
Oh yeah, I was sick as a dog last week.
Yeah. Please send me the trash, the cereal box trash.
That was a beautiful picture too that got ruined.
I know you were like dressed so fancy and everything.
Yeah, it's at a wedding.
Okay, that's it. We're done. This episode is over. Guys, thank you so much for watching the Trinity Force podcast. Please go support us on Patreon because you'll get to hear Darius this month and somebody else. I don't know. Something else could happen. Patreon.com/T-Force Network. Guys, we'll see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.